A sword is not born sharp. It is born rough, cold, and shapeless, until the fire awakens its spirit. In every age, there are those who believe that destiny is written by birth, that greatness belongs only to those born into privilege, lineage, or legacy. But the samurai knew a deeper truth. It is not blood that forges the warrior. It is the flame. In the heat of trial, in the hammering of pain, a soul can be refined into Hagane no Ishi, a will of steel. Tonight, I want you to imagine this. A man from a distant land, torn from his roots, with no name recognized in the empire of the rising sun. Yet within him burned a discipline so pure it could silence doubt itself. His name was Yasuke, the Black Samurai. He was not born into Bushido, but he chose it. He was not raised among warriors, but he became one. His journey is living proof that discipline defeats origin. Because when your spirit is forged in the fires of purpose, even the gods must bow to your persistence. That is the lesson of Yasuke. The lesson of becoming unbreakable, even when the world calls you unworthy. So if you walk the path of warriors, if you believe that your past does not define your destiny, then this message is for you. Comment "Discipline over Origin" below. Subscribe to join this brotherhood of modern samurai, and thank you for standing in the forge with me. Together, we rise beyond excuses. Together, we sharpen the soul. In the quiet forge of life, the fire of discipline burns brighter than any spark of talent or privilege. It is not the hand you were dealt that determines your power. It is the heat you endure and the shape you allow the flame to carve from within. Like molten steel, the human spirit must face the hammer of adversity and the relentless fire of repetition to reveal its strength. Yasuke's life is a testament to this truth. Torn from his homeland, cast into a world that did not see him as one of its own, he could have chosen surrender. But he chose discipline. The act of showing up when the world says you shouldn't. The art of holding your blade steady when everything within you trembles. Every strike he took in training was not against an opponent, but against his own weakness. Every dawn he rose to serve and learn. He refined his purpose in silence. Discipline is not born from comfort, it is born from collision. The world will test the edges of your resolve, scraping away your comfort until only your essence remains. This is the secret the samurai lived by. To be forged, one must first be broken. The fire does not ask who you are, it asks how much you can endure without losing shape. In Yasuke's rise from servant to samurai, we see the essence of this truth. The man who was not born of noble blood, but of noble action. He did not demand respect. He earned it through years of obedience, precision, and devotion. Every swing of his sword echoed the rhythm of a disciplined heart, steady, unwavering, unstoppable. Through the endless repetition of form, the spirit within him transcended his origin, proving that mastery is not inherited, but constructed. To forge strength beyond birth is to live as fire lives, consuming weakness and creating light from pain. Discipline is not punishment, it is purification. It strips away illusion, leaving behind only the core of who you are. When Yasuke stood among the samurai of Japan, his presence alone spoke volumes, not because of where he came from, but because of what he became. The flame within him could not be extinguished by doubt, prejudice, or distance. This is the same fire that lies dormant within all who choose the path of discipline. It is a quiet rebellion against limitation, a declaration that no origin, no circumstance, no past can dictate the destiny of a burning soul. To walk this path is to embrace the heat willingly, to understand that every repetition, every failure, every test is another stroke of the hammer shaping the warrior you were always meant to be. The path of Bushido is not inherited, it is chosen. It is the way of those who refuse to be ruled by their surroundings and instead command their spirit through unwavering honor. In the code of the samurai, birth mattered less than conduct, and lineage paled before integrity. Yasuke understood this truth in the depths of his being. In a land where his skin made him a stranger, he let his actions speak the universal language of virtue, discipline, humility, and service. Bushido taught him that a warrior's worth is not weighed in titles, but in how he holds his soul under pressure. Each day, through patience and loyalty, he carved his name not into stone, but into history. His honor became his identity, not by inheritance, but by devotion to principle. To walk the path of Bushido is to declare that no external force can shape your inner truth. It is to rise every morning with a sense of duty that transcends circumstance. The samurai did not wait for comfort or recognition. They acted because honor demanded it. Yasuke's loyalty to his master, Oda Nobunaga, was not born from servitude, but from shared respect and purpose. In that bond, the foreigner became a brother. The outsider became a symbol of unity. When chaos erupted and empires fell, Yasuke's heart remained bound to Bushido, the invisible armor that no blade could pierce. Through loyalty, courage, and righteousness, he lived not for reputation, but for legacy. Honor is not something given, it is forged through choice. To follow Bushido in our own lives means to confront every challenge with calm integrity, to speak truth when silence is safer, and to act rightly even when no one is watching. It is the discipline of spirit that resists corruption, the moral sword that cuts through illusion. Yasuke's story reminds us that Bushido is not a path reserved for the privileged or the born warriors. It is open to all who dare to live with honor as their compass. When we embody this ancient code, we cease to be defined by our past or position. Instead, like Yasuke, we stand tall amidst judgment, proving that a person's true origin is not the soil they were born from, but the spirit they rise with. There are moments in life when every path seems blocked, when the world itself appears determined to break your resolve. It is in these moments that the samurai calls upon Hagane no Ishi, the will of steel. This will is not loud or boastful, it is silent, steady, and enduring. It does not fight against hardship. It absorbs it, transforms it, and grows stronger. Yasuke embodied this will. He stood in a foreign land where every gaze was unfamiliar, every word a mystery, and yet he stood unbent. The world tested him with isolation, doubt, and endless trial. But steel is not made soft by fire, it is refined by it. Yasuke's strength was not of the body alone. It was the calm endurance of spirit, the refusal to bow before circumstance. Through every hardship he proved that fate is not a prison, it is a forge. To possess Hagane no Ishi is to see obstacles as part of the path, not detours from it. The samurai knew that pain, loss, and fatigue are the truest companions of growth. Where the weak seek escape, the warrior seeks endurance. Yasuke's rise was not a sudden spark. It was the result of countless silent battles against fear, exhaustion, and self-doubt. His will was a sword sharpened by humility and persistence. This is the same spirit that allows a person to rise after failure, to remain composed when all else burns away. The will of steel does not depend on motivation. It lives on discipline, on the quiet decision to keep moving forward when strength fades. When one's will becomes steel, destiny itself bends. Hagane no Ishi is not about resistance, it is about transformation. The same flame that destroys the weak tempers the strong. Yasuke's legend endures not because of where he began, but because of how he refused to yield. The will of steel cannot be given or taught. It must be earned, one trial at a time. It is the unseen armor that shields the soul from despair, and the inner voice that whispers, "I will not break." In every person lies the potential to forge such will, to rise, to endure, and to transcend fate. For those who walk the warrior's path, Hagane no Ishi is not merely strength. It is the spirit that outlasts the fire itself. True mastery does not come from rebellion against structure, but from surrendering to discipline. In the samurai tradition, obedience is not submission. It is alignment with purpose. To obey is to trust the process, to yield one's ego so that the craft may refine the soul. Yasuke understood this sacred principle. When he trained, he did not question the grind, he embraced it. Every repetition of a movement, every moment of silence, every act of service was a ritual. Each one shaping his spirit like a sculptor chiseling marble. The modern mind often seeks shortcuts, but the samurai knew that greatness is found in the patience of practice. Through obedience, Yasuke transcended the limits of his origin. Through consistency, he found mastery. The hands that once served now held the sword of a warrior, and that transformation came not from desire, but from disciplined devotion. Obedience in the path of mastery is not blind compliance. It is intentional humility. It is the art of emptying oneself so fully that wisdom can enter. The samurai bowed not to show weakness, but to acknowledge the endless mountain of learning before them. Yasuke bowed to Bushido, to training, to the fire of repetition. Each day he surrendered to the rhythm of practice, and in doing so he claimed freedom, the kind that only comes from full control over oneself. Consistency was his weapon, patience his armor. He understood that the greatest victories are not won in public, but earned in solitude, in the unseen hours when no one is watching. That is where the true warrior is born, beneath the quiet weight of daily discipline. To achieve mastery through obedience is to commit fully to the journey, no matter how long or difficult the path becomes. In every swing of the sword, in every measured breath, Yasuke cultivated the stillness of a master. The repetition that others found monotonous, he found sacred. The discipline that others avoided, he embraced, because he knew that obedience to the process is the only way to transcend it. When one follows the path without resistance, skill transforms into instinct, and action becomes art. Yasuke's rise reminds us that greatness does not shout, it whispers through consistency. It is born in the humble act of showing up, again and again, until the body and spirit move as one. Through obedience, the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and the servant becomes the samurai. In the philosophy of the samurai there is a word that defines the nature of all things, Mujo, the impermanence of life. Everything changes, nothing remains. The flower blooms, the sword rusts, the empire fades. Yet within this truth lies a hidden strength, the power to adapt, to evolve, to rise above the waves of chaos without losing one's center. A foreign land, shifting loyalties, the unpredictability of war, but he did not resist the flow of impermanence. He moved with it, like a blade cutting through water. When others were broken by loss, he learned from it. When others feared uncertainty, he embraced it as a teacher. Mujo taught him that to cling to what was is to suffer, but to flow with what is, that is the path to freedom. The warrior who accepts Mujo becomes unshakable. Change can no longer control him because he no longer fears it. Yasuke's strength was not just in his body, but in his ability to adapt his spirit. He entered Japan as an outsider and became a samurai not through defiance, but through transformation. Like the seasons that shift without hesitation, he learned to let go of what no longer served him. This is the essence of mastery, to face the storm and remain calm within it. The samurai trained to act decisively even in the face of death, because they knew that all things are fleeting. To understand Mujo is to see life as it is, temporary, unpredictable, and profoundly beautiful in its transience. When you embrace Mujo, fear loses its grip. You stop fighting the current and start flowing with it, transforming chaos into clarity. Yasuke's story reminds us that greatness is not found in resisting change, but in moving through it with grace. Every ending carries the seed of a new beginning. Every fall teaches the rhythm of rising again. The samurai bowed before impermanence, not in defeat, but in reverence. For it is the ever-shifting nature of life that keeps the spirit alive and sharp. In accepting Mujo, Yasuke found peace amidst uncertainty, purpose amidst loss, and strength amidst transformation. And through him we learned the timeless truth. The warrior who embraces change becomes eternal, even in a world that is not. Every warrior faces a moment when pain becomes unbearable, when the weight of the world presses so heavily on the soul that breaking seems inevitable. But it is in that crucible of suffering that the unshakable spirit is born. Pain, when embraced, ceases to be an enemy. It becomes a mentor. Yasuke's journey was carved by struggle, torn from his homeland, cast among strangers, and tested in a land where he was both a mystery and a marvel. Yet, he did not let pain define him. He transformed it. Every wound became a lesson, every scar a reminder that the soul can endure more than the body ever imagines. The samurai believed that the heart of a warrior is not measured by how little he suffers, but by how deeply he transforms that suffering into strength. In Yasuke, we see this truth alive: pain as fire, spirit as steel, destiny as the blade forged in between. The unshakable spirit is not born from comfort, but from confrontation. To cultivate it, one must look at pain not with fear, but with understanding. The samurai meditated on death not to invite it, but to strip it of power. Yasuke faced judgment, isolation, and battle, yet remained grounded in purpose. He understood what many never will, that pain, when aligned with purpose, becomes energy. It sharpens clarity, deepens empathy, and hardens resolve. The warrior who channels pain does not run from hardship. He welcomes it as the hammer that tempers his will. Yasuke's endurance was not a gift. It was a choice. The choice to stand, to rise, and to continue moving forward, even when the soul trembles. Pain will visit every soul that seeks greatness, but purpose gives it meaning. The unshakable spirit does not eliminate pain, it transcends it. Yasuke's life teaches that suffering is not the end of strength, but the beginning of transformation. Each strike, each loss, each betrayal can either weaken or awaken you. He chose awakening. In doing so, he became more than a man. He became a symbol of resilience, a living testament to the power of enduring spirit. The warrior's path is not about avoiding pain. It is about mastering it, shaping it, and allowing it to forge a purpose so pure that no wound can diminish it. Through Yasuke's journey, we learn the sacred truth. Pain is inevitable, but surrender is optional. And in that choice, the unshakable spirit is born. In the heart of the forge, there is a moment when metal ceases to resist and begins to transform. That is when the blade is born. The same is true for the human spirit. To become the sword is to surrender yourself completely to the discipline that sharpens you. It is to allow every repetition, every struggle, every sacrifice to carve away what is unnecessary until only purpose remains. Yasuke embodied this transformation. He was not merely a man holding a weapon. He was the weapon. Every movement, every breath, every act of service flowed with precision and intent. His life became a reflection of the Bushido spirit, where mastery and meaning fused into one. The sword does not question the hand that wields it. It simply fulfills its purpose. Likewise, Yasuke's discipline became his destiny, a life shaped by unwavering focus and self-control. To become the sword is to reach a state beyond doubt or hesitation. The samurai called this state Mushin, the no-mind, where the spirit acts without interference, pure and instinctive. Yasuke trained until thought and motion were one, until fear no longer clouded his purpose. This level of discipline is not reached through talent, but through years of devotion to the smallest details. The stance, the breath, the silence between actions. In that stillness, the warrior finds freedom. He no longer fights against life, he flows with it. The sword symbolizes this eternal truth. The more one is refined by hardship, the sharper one becomes. Yasuke's transformation was not about proving himself to others, but about embodying the very essence of mastery, calm power born from endless discipline. When you let discipline shape your destiny, you too become the sword. Precise, balanced, and unyielding, life's challenges will strike like the hammer on steel, but each blow only strengthens your edge. To live as Yasuke lived is to commit yourself fully to refinement, to allow every experience to polish the blade of your being. Discipline is not a cage. It is the fire that frees you from weakness. When your purpose is forged in that fire, you no longer swing the sword. You are the sword. Every action becomes deliberate, every choice aligned with destiny. Through Yasuke's story, we learn that true power lies not in fighting the world, but in mastering one's self so completely that fate itself cannot dull your edge. The story of Yasuke is not just a tale of history. It is a mirror held up to every soul who dares to rise above circumstance. He was not born a samurai, yet he lived as one. He was not shaped by privilege, yet he carried the dignity of kings. His journey teaches us a timeless truth. Discipline transcends origin. In a world obsessed with where you come from, Yasuke reminds us that what truly matters is where you choose to go and the fire you walk through to get there. He proved that the greatest strength is not in birthright, but in self-mastery. Like the sword, he allowed the hammer and flame of hardship to shape him until his spirit gleamed with purpose. Every strike, every trial, every act of loyalty was part of his forging. Yasuke's name endures because he did not seek validation, he sought evolution. And that is the way of the warrior. To live by principle, not permission. His story whispers to all who feel unseen or underestimated. Your background is not your boundary, it is your beginning. The discipline you practice today becomes the armor that carries you through tomorrow. The patience you cultivate becomes your unbreakable edge. When you dedicate yourself to the forge, even your scars become sacred, proof that you refused to break. So, remember this. You are the sword in the making. The world will test you, fire will surround you, and doubt will strike like the hammer of destiny. But if you hold firm, you will emerge sharper, stronger, unstoppable. Yasuke's legacy is not a story to admire. It is a call to action. Live with Bushido in your heart, discipline in your hands, and purpose in your soul. For in every disciplined step you take, you honor the warrior within. This is how you prove, as Yasuke did, that discipline always beats origin.